What is up, Team JVS? We are back with another review. We are here with Daryl Dixon, episode 5 of season 2. So, the Book of Carol has been really, really interesting so far. And I think episode 4 had one of the best moments of the entire series. A lot of us love that nostalgia. A lot of us love those cameos, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I'm not saying that the show had cameos. I'm just saying like that feeling just is very similar. So, when we get two characters that we've been loving for over 10 years get that feeling, or when we see them on screen again for the first time, it's like it can really change the way you feel about an entire episode. And I think that's what it did. It made me really enjoy the entire episode, even if the entire episode wasn't that good. But that moment is still one of my favorite moments, like, period. But the rest of the episode was okay. It wasn't bad. I did enjoy it. But compared to this episode, I feel as though I should have enjoyed this episode a lot more. But because of the moment in the last episode, it's like blinding me in a sense. You know what I'm saying? But I still truly appreciated everything. But this episode had so many moments. There was so much that happened in this one episode. It's actually crazy. Whether it's Lo Sang and Daryl having their final battle, or if it's Cadron again having more redemption, which I'm really, really excited for that because he's been so cool. I really want to see more of his character. Like, I thought we were gonna really call it a wrap after season 1, but to see what they're doing with him here, it's been really, really cool to see. Whether it was that little taste we got with Carol telling him, "Oh yeah, that's my brother. I want to find him," or whether it was him at the nest buying Carol time, or even at the end of season 1 when he let Laurent and Daryl go. I mean, there was just so much to show that there is a sense of redemption coming, and they've just done a really good job with it because it's not like they've taken so much time to show it, but the just what they've done with the little time he's been on screen has been so impactful to his character. And it's just been really cool to see like the development between him and Daryl. And we go from Daryl and him trying to kill each other to Daryl saying, "Yo, I owe you one. Like, I dead owe you a favor, bro." Like it's just been really, really interesting to see how the writers are kind of making that work in a sense where it's not forced, but it doesn't seem extremely fast paced because usually with things like that, sometimes it requires a little time. But given that we're on a 6 episode season schedule, it's really, really cool to see how they kind of jam packed everything in such short amount of time, and it still feels very impactful. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like the pacing is like insanely or insane or anything. It just they're doing everything right, and I truly, truly admire them for that. But again, going into this, I'm really, really, I was really impressed with the way we started things off. Like, we legit had a whole, the opener just felt a lot longer than you know it probably was. I don't know, but it just like I was so sucked into everything. It was just, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I do like that we kind of dove into things with Laurent pretty fast. That was pretty cool. Of course, the way we started off the episode, of course, was with Daryl and Carol not having the car wasn't working, so it was still being in that area was really depressing because after saying it obviously felt very similar to where we left off with the old couple. I mean, saying goodbye to them was tough, man. It's like anytime we get an introduction of like an old couple, I feel like it's just it never can go well. I mean, it reminds me of like X-Men Origins. If you guys have seen those movies, it's like after Logan escapes, after he gets the adamantium into his body, he escapes and finds a lovely old couple. Like, it didn't end well. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I want to see just an old couple win, man. I just want to see them, isolate themselves and enjoy the rest of their life without having anyone just kind of ruin it for them, it's tough. But of course the vibes were still there after the last episode, so it was a little depressing. But of course, it ended up leading us to where the nest was, and then Daryl and Carol got the reunion. Carol meets Laurent. Laurent's familiar with Carol. There's just so much going on. Like, he knew of Carol, like because the way Kazran kind of popped up, and everyone was of course very wary of him. And then of course Laurent is the reason he's still alive because he says he let us go. It was just all these moving parts led to Kazran, of course, making the right decisions even towards the end of the episode. But Laurent, of course, if he didn't speak up, things probably would have went bad. But of course, when he mentioned the American, Laurent knows of the stories of Carol, so it was just really cool. And then when they finally met up, it was really cool. And of course, Daryl, you could see the skepticism on his face when he looked at Cadron. But it's just one of the reasons why I do admire the acting in this show, and not only by Norman Reedus, but there's a scene later on with Melissa McBride where she absolutely knocks it out of the park. Um, and I'm kind of jumping the gun, but with the whole moment with Ash, like, of course, I've mentioned earlier in the season with the writing for you know with what they did with Carol's character, I wasn't a huge fan of the manipulation tactic, because the thing is, we know Carol has been really good at that. She's making herself seem innocent, makes herself look vulnerable. That's like her whole shtick, like that's what she's done. It's how she's gotten out of a lot of situations. But to do it to someone that's kind of like actually trying to help you is just it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. To do it to someone who not only is sympathetic to your cause because he also lost his kid, it's kind of sick. And of course, Ash ended up bringing that up later. And I really love the dialogue. I don't know how much was actually improvised in certain scenes. Like the scene where he actually flips out. We get like four F bombs dropped simultaneously, like all at once, like consecutively. You know what I'm saying? And usually we'll get maybe at most two or three F bombs, but it's scattered throughout the episode. So to get them in one, like, whether what do you want to call it, like a monologue, one like kind of piece of dialogue, was pretty crazy to me. And I think it made the moment a little more crazy, like a little more impactful to me at least. Because when I'm angry, I mean, like, I feel like when people are angry, it makes more sense for them to kind of just say whatever vocabulary is there, whatever is easier to come out of your mouth. It's most likely gonna be, whether it's cussing or I don't know if that makes any sense, but like I feel as though it feels more realistic when they allow certain words. Whereas there are certain scenes in some of the other Walking Dead shows that we had where characters were so pissed off, but having to work around the dialogue and find other words other than the F word, or words that people would genuinely usually use, excuse me, uh, uh when they are upset. It kind of made the dialogue feel a little light. It just made the anger feel less impactful. And I know that doesn't mean it's necessarily good writing, but I love the way that the actor kind of portrayed that pure rage, and with the way he was saying stuff. It didn't feel like he was just saying the F bomb for the hell of it. It just felt genuine. He was actually pissed. And it felt real. And again, I want to applaud Melissa McBride's acting. The way she flinched when he got mad is just such, it speaks so much for her character, especially being a domestic abuse survivor. I mean, domestic violence survivor, excuse me. To see her be in a position where she is no longer that the I don't want to call her, she was a weak woman. I don't like saying that, but she was in a position where she didn't have the strength she does now. So to see where she was at then, and to see where her character is now, where she'll literally take on a 10v1 situation and most likely win, plot armor or not, she'll still win. It's just like, it's really interesting. So to see her still have that kind of like mental trauma, like to the point where she's jumping at, like, his kind of violent interactions, it was just like, it was the first thing I noticed, and I'm like, oh my god, like, that's such a brilliant touch. Like, whether it was intentional or just her just being in her bag because she's such a phenomenal actress, it was just, oh my god, it made me feel for her, because we know how she started, and to see where she is now, it's insane. But it's one thing I did like, and I know Ash doesn't know the entire situation, but I know there's gonna be a lot of like discussions here. But I truly believe Ash was in the right to act the way he did. I mean, this guy has felt manipulated. He has bonded with this woman. He has put his life on the line for this woman, and it just feels like everything was based off of a lie, and which it was. But when you're following someone because you're trying to give them something that you'll never get, which is a reunion with your kid, obviously you're going to be bullshit. I mean, there's no other way around it. And I think they did a really good job with handling the events that led up to their entire kind of like breakdown, because when we first see Ash, he's kind of like out of his mind. He's just kind of tired. He's been there for 2 days, nothing to eat, no water, just surrounded by walkers. So to see how it kind of ends up with him you know uh, uh being sick, and her helping him, and just us having multiple moments with him before the bomb is dropped. It kind of eased it a little bit, whether I don't know how you guys felt, if you guys wanted the bandit to be ripped off right away, but me personally, it gave me time to kind of ex- sit there and just be like, okay, like it's gonna happen. We already got a nice little moment. I'm kind of ready for it all. Because the first thing he did, he looked at Daryl. He said, "Who the hell is this?" I think his first reaction is like, "You didn't tell me Sophia was a friggin' 50-year-old grown ass man." Like I mean, I'm sure he had a lot of questions, but it was just really interesting to see how it all went down. And again, that interaction between the two, especially before she kind of said the truth, before he found out, Carol was actually speaking from the heart. She was apologizing. You could tell how genuine she was trying to be, because it really did affect her. I mean, I'm sure this manipulation, yeah, of course, like it sucks being the person on the other end, but realistically, like if you have a kind soul, it does suck manipulating that person. I'm not trying to justify it. Like that sounds like I'm justifying her, but I'm just saying, like, I can understand why she's feeling a little pain. Me personally, I still think she is extremely, extremely wrong for what she did, but I also think that they handled it a really good way. The way they kind of explained why she did what she did, I kind of understood a little more. With the way she was describing, like, like for some reason when I was talking to him, the first thing I thought of was you, and when I think of you, I think of how you helped me with, getting over Sophia, or trying to help find Sophia. And that was the first thing that came to my mind. And I think a big part of me also, wish it was true. So the first thing I thought of and the first thing I said was the thing I wished was true. And I wished Sophia was still alive somewhere in France. I thought that was a decent way to explain, because realistically, Carol is not a perfect woman. So her lying and manipulating this dude is not extremely out of character, but at the same time, it is a little off for me. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but she's always been smart. She's been crafty, and in order to get her way, sometimes she had to do some crazy shit. And it's like the whole situation is messed up. But I am still trying to figure out like how I feel about it as a whole, because they've really made me enjoy Ash's character in the short amount of time he's been on screen. So to see him getting kind of like screwed over, even if it is by a character we love so much, it does stink. But I am really curious to see what you guys have to say. Lo Sang, my boy's dead, man, and I'm kind of excited. I mean, I was waiting for it to go down. I do want to give him props, because that final battle, as dark as it was, and that's the one kind of like flaw that I do have with this season. There are so many great shots, I feel, but like I feel like the only thing that really kills some of these scenes is the bad lighting. And I understand when you're in a place like whether it was the catacombs, I think it was the catacombs. When you're in a place like that, obviously you're not going to have a lot of natural lighting, but realistically, it's just, as a viewer, it kind of bums you out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I do feel like there are certain scenes that I feel like I would have enjoyed more if the brightness was just up a little bit. That's kind of where I'm at. But I still really enjoyed the sequence. I feel like it was a good kind of like little payoff. I would have enjoyed the payoff a little more if I could see a little better. But the payoff from like episode 1 or 2, when Lo Sang saw Daryl and said, "Hey, we can spar a little bit if you want," and Daryl's like, "Not with that toothpick," but Lasang is clearly no joke. I feel like it would have been cooler to see a lot of his fighting abilities even more. We've seen a lot of it, or a decent amount, but I feel like just to see more of it would have been cool, because we've seen him take out a couple guys, but we've seen Daryl, especially in this season, seen him take out like 40 dudes. We saw him take out like 30 dudes in one sequence. Like, it was actually insane. So to I feel like in order to feel him or see him as a bigger threat to Daryl of all people would have been to have him like have a similar moment to Daryl, of him like just ripping apart a bunch of dudes or whatever it was. But I still think it was a really cool fight. Same thing with Quadron and the wing woman. I forgot her name, but I'm sure she's gonna come back and be a pain in the ass. But we'll have to wait and see. One more episode, man. I don't know if her end's gonna come there. I don't know what's gonna happen. Laurent, of course, making a lot of decisions. Like, he was continuing to say, "Hey, I don't want to go. I don't want to go," because he continues to feel, if I go, you're gonna die. Everyone that protects me ends up dying. And this is right after getting the news that Isabel, isn't around anymore. So I totally understand where he's coming from. He's a child. Of course, he's gonna have that, insecurity, or just that fear. So I do understand it, but just to see where it eventually ends up with him changing his mind, being like, "I do want to go with you." It felt great, but realistically, I thought him staying behind would have been a cool, way to say goodbye. Him being in a safe spot. Obviously, Lasang needs to be gone in order for that safe spot to continue. But if that happened, I would have been, okay with it because of the fact that we're getting, another season. I don't know if we're getting multiple seasons, but in order to do crazier stuff, I mean, I feel like having a kid on the road with us kind of prevents us to do, crazy stuff. It's one thing if we know that we can drop him off in a safe spot and we're fine. But I don't know. I don't know if it adds a restriction, but I, am kind of looking forward to him kind of aging up or growing up or whatever they do with his character because, of course, he'll be able to do more. I mean, they don't really want to have a 12-year-old running around killing people, you know what I'm saying? Like, or having a moment that Daryl would have, but it would be really interesting to see a character raised by both Daryl and Carol, say 5 years from now, being able to hold their own. Like, I don't know. There's a lot that I would like to see, but I don't know. I'm interested. I think I'm just like, curious to see what they're going to do in the last episode. And hopefully in season 3, we get maybe a 7 episode or 8 episode season, but we'll have to wait and see. But again, a big thank you to everyone that has been watching these videos. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Remember, we drop a lot of other reviews over here on TeamJVS. We have a lot of other content coming out, so I'm really, really excited to cover things. Not only will you see me doing individual reviews, but we do group reviews as well as group reactions on my channel. We react to everything that I usually review over here. I'm going to be reacting to on my channel, so go check that out over there. We've reacted to every episode of Daryl Dixon except for the finale of season 1 because I was at Comic-Con when they showed it, so I did have like an audience reaction, but I just never went around to posting it because I didn't know how to post something without my face. It just felt weird. I didn't want to just post the show, but there's a lot to talk about, and I'm just excited. So talk to me in the comments. Hope you guys are doing well. I really hope you're staying safe. And yeah, make sure you're subscribing to TeamJVS and showing us some love. Again, we have a lot of stuff coming out, and we'll be dropping the review for the finale, Superman and Lois, a whole bunch of other stuff coming out. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.